Well, hello again from another episode of the Crotchety Old Men Podcast. Hi, I'm Gary Smith, one of the co-hosts of the Crotchety Old Men Podcast. And joining me in the studio today is, I call him my Imagineer, Engineer, Inspirationeer, George Crumley. What's going on, George?
Oh, Smith, it's another beautiful day. How you doing?
Hey, man, I'm doing great. Thanks for
Good,
asking.
good. So what we got on the agenda for today?
Well, we oftentimes try to bring as much information, inspiration, and education as we possibly can to each and every episode. So, in totality, what we've been talking about, George, is diversification. So, I thought we might take somewhat of a deep dive today, as much as possible, and to talk about what diversification is, what to do with it, when and how, and all the nuts and bolts about, hey, why diversification? Why diversify your portfolio? What are
Excellent
your
subject.
thoughts?
Excellent subject. When I think of diversification, first thing I think about is, hey, don't put all your eggs in one basket. I try to keep things pretty simple, and I think
Yeah,
that kind of go ahead.
yeah, I didn't mean to just interrupt you like that, but that's what we've been taught all the time. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. When in actuality, I believe we'll uncover this or discover this is that may not necessarily be true all the time.
Hmm.
Let's dig in.
Right.
So,
It's to avoid over concentration in one particular thing, and in this particular situation, we're talking about your finances. So if you're an employee and you've got a 401k, you don't want to have just a 401k. You should diversify. You should have maybe an E-Trade account on your own, maybe a Charles Schwab or one of these other Edward Jones, or there's plenty of them out here. But for me, sometimes it just comes down to a trust factor, or not a trust, or an access factor. So what happens if I can't get access to this account? Can I get access to this other particular account? What if this one's not doing well? Maybe this one is doing well. So there's a lot of different reasons, why you want to diversify. But it's for access, and it's like I said, you don't want to create over concentration in one particular field. I mean, what are your thoughts?
well, my thoughts is that I believe you should go about diversification like you would by planning a trip. You need a plan. All right. Why are you investing in whatever the heck it is that you're investing in? I mean, be it a 401k, be it government bonds, be it stock, real estate, gold, silver, crypto. We can go on and on and on. So there's a lot of stuff out there. All right. And so to go and buy some of everything that's out there is not a wise utilization of the diversifying philosophy, if you will. Because in essence, what you're going to end up doing is diluting your opportunities to gain yield. And not only to mention that, be able to, like we always say, it's not how much you make, but it's how much you what? You keep.
You
And
keep, yeah.
so you dilute that. And then in addition, I could go on and on. Then you're going to dilute your yield potential. So rather than go about that way, think in terms of why are you diverse? Why are you investing to begin with? All right, are you investing long term or short term goal or what have you? Then, if that's the case, then your diversification module is going to be narrowed, and it should be narrowed because as you learn more about your risk tolerance, sure, most people go into diversifying out of fear rather than gain, trying not to lose. You rarely win a game, whether it's in a game of sports or in life or in business for sure, going into it with that type of mindset. So that's why I mentioned early on that diversification it's like a gun. It could be used creatively and good, or it can backfire and kill you in the business game.
Those are some very good points, as far as, why diversification could work against you. So you have to be
Mhm.
careful in what you're doing. I guess I look at it more so as, like I say again, if you're investing in your 401k at work and you have a certain amount, most employers will match up to what is about 8%. You may want to invest a little bit more. So you have an option. You can either invest in that 401k, or like I said, you can open up your own tool. Some of the times your 401ks limit you on the number of options you have from a stock perspective. They want you to sometimes stay in particular classes of stocks that they represent, which their board has already approved. But you may want to get into something that's depending on, here again, on your risk tolerance. You may want to get in something a little bit more risky, or you may want to get in something a little bit stable.
Mhm.
So here again, it's going to be different for everybody. So you have to determine, like you said, a key word is what's your risk tolerance. And
Right.
also, what's your goal? Are you investing for income or are you investing for growth? I think
Right.
those are two important things that people sometimes don't realize. Because I know some people have come to me and said, I got some money. What should I invest in? And the first thing I say is, so what's your goal? Are you in income or growth? Not to say you can't have both, but then it depends, which one you really want. That's where your concentration and focus is going to go.
Oh, absolutely. And to that end, how fast you want to grow, how much time do you have to grow? Because one thing will never change, and that's seed time and harvest. So, so if you start your planting or sowing of seed late in the game, then you don't have a whole lot of time to accumulate. So now growth is going to be on one side. It's going to be a driver, but doggone it, that risk reduction of loss is going to probably be the one that's going to drive you the most. And that's what puts you into a situation where you have to invest because of fear versus investing because of that of gain.
Yeah, absolutely. You hit a good point. It's like, where are you in this stage of investing? Who should consider? Everybody should consider diversification, but it's different if I'm an individual investor. It's different if I'm a retiree or getting ready to retire. So you have to look at where you are in the stage in life. Are you, preparing, get your kids ready for college? Are you just starting out? Are you getting ready to retire in, say, 10 years? So all those factors go into how you're going to diversify. But even
Mm-hmm.
so, here again, when I look at diversification, it goes back down even to your bank accounts. You may not want to put all your money in one bank, with
Yeah, you
things
better
going
not.
on. Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's kind of how I look at it. I've got money in the credit union. I've got money in the black banks. I've got money in regular, your brick and mortar banks. I've got money in online banks. All for different diversification because of the fact that you know I want to spread the wealth around so that, here again, access. Which one do I want to access? This month. And it goes
Well,
back
look
to,
here.
don't put all your eggs in one basket.
You go. And that goes back to sowing a lot of seed because he who sows the most seed will reap a bountiful harvest.
Yeah,
Because one
absolutely.
thing that a bank is going to do is doesn't matter whether it's a little bit or a lot. As long as you're making your money on money, you're doing a good thing.
Right.
So
Exactly.
yeah, it's not
Exactly.
like you got thousands of checking accounts. When you say a relationship with a bank, ladies and gentlemen, it just doesn't necessarily mean a checking account. It could be a savings account. And usually, particularly now, a lot of banks are paying some money on savings accounts because they need that cash in order so they can do some other stuff with it. So,
Yeah, and then some of your other uh, uh, institutions like American Express and Capital One, they sometimes have higher interest rates, paying on your dollars, money market accounts, that you might want to look at just strictly from a savings perspective. So here
yeah.
again, diversification. One of the things that I look at as far as a checking account, just a regular, from a passbook savings and checking account at a regular brick and mortar location. Um, I only put enough money in there to pay whatever bills I'm
Mhm.
going to pay. I don't try to save with Wells Fargo, Bank of America, and any of those, because they're not going to pay you any money. Remember, again, they're turning your money over 10 times. So for every dollar you put in, they're going to turn it over 10 times. But they're not going to allow you to do that. They're not going to pay you that type of interest. But if you put your money in a credit union, it's going to work better for you. Or if you find an institution, like I said, Capital One, American Express, there's a couple of them out here that pay a little bit more interest. That's where you want to actually save your money. So here again, you want to diversify your money. This account over here is for paying bills. This account over here is for growth.
Yeah. Another good form of using diversification, George, would be to diversify within an industry. Let's take energy for instance, whether it's solar energy, gas, electric, whatever entails energy. Number one, it's a necessity-based industry, and so I'm speaking from a stock bond perspective as well. Is that now you can diversify within that industry, So now you hedge a risk, or at least you mitigate a risk, because that industry is a growth oriented industry. All right. You can take other industries that's out there, whether it be retail or industrial, and there's a plethora of industries out there. And so by utilizing a top down approach, if you will, one could take their own investment strategy, and you can do this within well, they have these index funds that you can do this in, and to a modicum degree, depending upon the structure, like George was saying, of your 401k, you can allocate a certain amount of money to an index fund, and in essence, be doing the same exact thing that I'm talking about, diversifying within that industry, which gives you a much better, bigger hedge, or I like to use the word moat, such as Warren Buffett used, because I'm always looking for that moat. What can, whether the government or a health challenge cannot stop a necessity-based type business. Well, if you can invest in that and diversify your portfolio with that, then it just gives you that slight edge to get ahead.
Absolutely. As you talk about different investments from a stock perspective, you want to look at high end. Right now, the buzzword is the Magnificent Seven. But, here again, if you just invest in those seven stocks, you're not insulating yourself from, any downturn there. You may also want to if you're going to put money in those seven stocks, you may want to also put it in other stocks that kind of complement that. Because even in the S&P 500, here again, that's 500 different companies. It's not just that those seven may be high producers, but it's also insulating the S&P by having other stocks that are in that group of stocks. So that's what, it's like a mutual fund. You got multiple funds that complement each other. If one goes down, the other one goes up. It's also, me always trying to reel it back to real estate. It's like that, real estate. Yeah, you want to get started and buy that first property, but the more properties you buy, the better you insulate yourself from, a tenant moving out. If I got 5 properties and a tenant moves out, I'm not in a situation where how am I going to pay that note on that one, because I've got 4 other ones that will help me do that. So you can diversify in real estate also.
Absolutely. I think that's the foundation of diversification. Uh, Real estate game. So we've talked about what it is. We've talked about how you can do it. Did we really tell? Well, I think we did talk a little bit about why you should diversify. I think we
We
talked about
did.
that somewhat. And now who? Well, you may say, well, I don't have a whole lot, or I don't have, I'm not investing yet. Don't have any stock. I don't even have a 401k. That's fine. All right. Because what you can do is educate yourself, learn more about investing, learn more about not just the diversifying, easy for me to say, not so much just the diversification of it, but also why am I want to do? What's my goal? What's my plan? Hey, y'all, this is Black History Month. It's the first 2 months, or the first 60 days, is it so, George, of the new year? So I know a lot of you are still out there planning. So before you start diversifying, start investigating on what I'm going to buy. And then, like George says, and now look at what's within that, what complements that, and boom, you're off and running, diversifying. So you don't have to wait until you accumulate a whole bunch of money to start diversifying, or get deep into investing. You can start today.
Absolutely. And it goes back to, setting goals.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime you're going to start doing anything that's going to affect your future, you got to have a goal in mind, because here again, if you don't have a goal, how when you get there, so you
That's good.
got to have a goal. And with that goal, once you, establish that goal, then you can figure out, so what's going to help me get there? How do I diversify my portfolio so that it complements my goal and helps me get there? So here again, income or growth, which one do we want to do? So those are all the fundamental things that we have to think about when we're thinking about investing. It's not just throwing your money at something because somebody said it's a great idea. You got to ask yourself why. You got to
Right.
ask yourself why. And here again,
That's
what's the best time to diversify? Whenever you're going to invest. I mean,
that's
that's the
right.
best time. You're going to have life changes. You're going to have, things that affect your life, but still you want to be in a position where you're equally balanced, where one thing, hopefully doesn't crash on you. And, you've got all those things that are coming down at the same time. So with the diversification, you're somewhat insulated. I mean, just
Absolutely.
when I look at, When I look at my portfolio, as far as from a retirement perspective, I've got 4 or 5 different sources of income, and I've got them spread out throughout the month so that, like you've heard me use this term before, mailbox money. I know
That's
it's the
right.
8th, so I know something's coming in from this particular source. I know it's the 15th.
Amen.
I know there's money coming in from somewhere else, and I know it's the end of the month. Money's coming from somewhere else. So it's diversification, even in that form, as far as how you're going to maintain your lifestyle on a monthly in and out basis.
Those are the benefits that are derived from diversification.
That's right. That's right. And that's how you have to set yourself up. You gotta,
That's
you
right.
gotta, what is it? Plan with the end in mind.
That's right. That's right. And speaking of that, how many people out there, don't raise your hand, but how many people out there have auto pay? You may auto pay your car note, you may auto pay your house note, may auto pay your rent. But the person that you should be auto paying is yourself. Okay.
Absolutely.
So make sure that money, take your 10%, at least 10% of every paycheck. And when it hits your account, it automatically goes into a saving account, automatically goes into a money market, automatically goes into an account for you. Heck,
Right.
even $100 a month at 0% interest is still $1,200 at the end of the year. That's 1,200 than you had the year before.
Right. Right.
Okay,
That's
that's a
great.
start.
Right.
auto
Exactly.
pay, auto pay yourself. That's a diversify. If you're going to diversify, you got all these other investments. Think about it. You sending money to everybody else except who? You. Does that really make sense? Heck, you the person that's making all the money, and you sending it out to everybody except you. Put yourself on auto pay. All right, back to you, George.
Well, it goes back to what I'm out here again. My philosophy: pay yourself first
That's it.
before you pay anybody else. Pay yourself first.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because something happened to you, don't none of the rest of them folks get paid.
That's right. That's right.
Okay?
Make yourself happy.
Shoot, pay you first.
Pay you
Forget
first.
that GAAP, General Accounting Accepted Principles. Don't accept those. Pay
Right.
yourself first.
There you go. There you go. Definitely.
So anyway, that's another nugget from the Crotchety Old Man podcast. Another
There you
great
go.
reason to listen in to the Crotchety Old Man podcast. Tell them, George.
That's right, man. Hey, and we're on YouTube too now. So hey, tune into YouTube. If you don't want to just
Oh,
listen
shucks.
to it, you can see us on YouTube.
Absolutely. And we're going to bring it. We're going to continue to bring it. But instead of us talking about ourselves, anything else we got to share with the audience about diversification?
No, I think we've kind of talked about diversification. So what kind of pearls of wisdom you got to end us up with today? You got
Man, I
anything
thought you'd
good?
never ask.
Oh, you know I want to ask that, Smitty. Gotta ask that.
All right. All right. Here we go. Risk is inevitable, but fear is a choice. Don't let fear hold you back. Don't let fear hold you back. I'm saying that again because somebody out there is scared. Don't let fear hold you back from taking calculated risks. Pursue your goals and plan for them.
Sounds great. Good word.
I'll
And as
probably
we all go ahead, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, you don't have to keep running them out. That was an original. Thank
All
you.
right. Well, good, good, good.
All
Hey,
right.
and as we always say on the crotchety old man, if you didn't know,
Now you
now
know.
you know. Take
All
care.
right.
Be blessed.
Have a great
Peace.
day. Peace.